Today on Thrifty Whiskey, the guys will be reviewing Quality House. Quality House is a Kentucky straight bourbon from Heaven Hill. It carries an age statement of 3 years and has a mash bill of 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley, the same mash bill used for Evan Williams and Elijah Craig. This bottle comes in at 80 proof. We paid $11 for our 1 liter bottle with an average retail price of $12. As always, your prices may vary. Enjoy.
Thanks, Joyce. I'm Josh.
I'm Keith.
And I'm Eric.
And we're going to dive into this whiskey. My first thought is bourbon.
I know, same. It has the right notes.
Mm-hmm. There's an oak presence. There's a little bit of a cherry, some corn.
Vanilla, some corn, some just kind of sweetness. Yeah, I want to say bourbon.
Smells like a bourbon.
Really good Irish.
Usually it's the other way around, but yeah.
Oh, you think it's an Irish and it ends up being a bourbon? Yeah.
It smells really good, though. It smells like a good bourbon.
But it does not taste like a good bourbon.
It tastes like an acceptable bourbon.
No, I don't mind it. It's not bitey. It's not super spiced.
But it doesn't taste like a bourbon to me. It tastes like something else.
It does taste American to me.
The texture of this was very smooth. It was not sharp at all.
I'm still thinking it's bourbon.
I think the smoothness of it, though, does not displace the flavors. It did taste very flavorful.
Yeah.
And I'd say it tasted like the nose, but smoother than the nose. I'm missing some of the oak spice, I think.
Yeah, that I think is what it is. From the nose to the palate, I'm missing oak spice.
And I'm not getting the hug.
I'm getting a little bit of hug.
Eric is already going in for water.
Sure am.
I think you're right, though. This is perfectly acceptable. This is
I think it's an acceptable bourbon. I don't think it's a great bourbon.
But I'm happy. I think it's very crushable.
Oh, yeah.
I could down this easy and not be offended by it.
I'm still not convinced it's a bourbon. I believe it's an American whiskey of some sort.
Assuming the price doesn't make me feel guilty, I could crush this.
Yeah. Honestly,
nothing should make me feel guilty in our price range.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's nothing in our price range should really make you feel that guilty about crushing something.
Oh, yeah. I'll take that. On the nose, I'm just getting more of the spice. On the palate, I got far more of the spice.
On the nose, I'm getting perfume now. No, not perfume. A flower petal. Not floral, like I usually mean by floral. I mean actual flower petals. You just went up and you set a flower, or someone turned that into a perfume.
Clover flower.
I can see it.
I could see that, actually.
Not overly pungent, soft and sweet.
Yeah.
Can also see it on the palate, now that you say it.
Gets a little bit drier on the finish after adding water.
I'm not upset at this whiskey.
No, I'm not. I like it. I find it very palatable. It's
not overbearing. This is a whiskey,
I think the water added made it better, which means it's something I'm looking for a mixed drink. This is something that's going to make a great old-fashioned.
I don't think this is a whiskey I need to sit down with. This is not something if you're looking for a long journey.
I agree with that.
Not something, but if you just want a good tasting whiskey to just sit and drink over a long period of time, this is it. This is good.
I think this is a good intro whiskey. If you're wanting to find out what whiskeys are like and wanting to learn about tasting and sipping and drinking whiskeys, this is a good beginner's whiskey.
This is a good weekday cocktail in the evening whiskey.
I'm still not convinced.
I'm not doing this on the weekend. This is not my weekend drink.
No.
I'm not convinced about the cocktail yet. I feel like it's not sharp enough to be noticeable in a cocktail.
I would want a much stronger proof.
That's why I'm going old-fashioned or something that is a simple cocktail. I'm not mixing this with Coke.
Right. So something that's where the whiskey is the predominant ingredient.
Yes.
Oh, orange bitters.
What about orange bitters?
Just adding a few orange bitters and some...
Well, good thing that's how I make my own fashions.
After adding water and letting it rest a little bit, I'm getting a little bit of orange rind, a little bit of citrus, a little bit of orange, and I think adding orange bitters would enhance that.
I'm going to be honest. I think I prefer this without water. I think it gets more complex with water. There's more interesting things there. But I feel like it adds a level of sharpness that removes it from my crushable status.
Okay.
It's more crushable without the water.
What about just going on the rocks instead of using a mixer?
I think that much water Well, if you're just cooling it down, it might be okay. But if you actually put ice over it, or it over ice, I think it's going to water it down too much. Also, this is not cold, but...
Right. And that would have a different effect. A little bit. Yeah.
Like, I'm still getting oak. The oak's
If this was cold, I do think that I could crush this.
Oh, that just blanks it.
But it's...
But still there.
I'm going to crush it because I'm not going to feel it. It's so watered down.
We're going to move into ratings. We're going to talk about this whiskey on a scale of 0 to 5 on the nose, palate, and finish.
Across the board, 2.5. I think it's just a good, moderate, run-of-the-mill whiskey.
Okay.
Agreed. Across the board, 3s. It's a good run-of-the-mill whiskey. Good for introduction, good for crushing it neat, and I think it'll make a great cocktail. So that's why I give it just a smidge more.
I'm giving the nose a 3.5, the palate a 3, and the finish a 2.5.
Uh-huh.
Yep. I'm basically in agreement, but I think the nose is really good. I think the palate, it follows through really well, but misses that little bit of that spice. And the finish is fine. Very simple ratings. It's a simple whiskey, but it's just solid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't say much more than that.
There's nothing special about it.
No.
But there's nothing bad about it either.
We said that something very similar to the Evan Williams Bottled and Bond, but I mean it in a different way this time. This time, like, that was just like bourbon notes. And this is just bourbon notes, but I think they are at different levels.
Yeah.
And this isn't, I don't think it's as sharp. Like, this is just smooth, well-rounded. That was well-rounded too, but not in the same way.
You know, I think this would be a weekend sipper in one way and one way only, and that's if I'm having a big party and I'm opening my bar up. This is probably what I'm using, depending on the price, having 3 or 4 bottles of this for a party to, hey, this is what I've got tonight.
All right, so that all being said, we've given our ratings. Let's move on to our guesses. What do you guys think the type of whiskey this is? I want to know what you think the proof is, what you think retail price is, and then finally, what would you be willing to pay for this bottle?
I'm still not convinced that this is a bourbon. I am convinced that it is an American whiskey. I'm not convinced it's a Kentucky bourbon. Let me narrow that down.
Okay.
I would agree with you there.
Okay. I'm not convinced it's a Kentucky bourbon. Proofing, very, very low. I'm going to be surprised if it's higher than 82. I'd pay 15 for this, and it's probably going for about 14 to 16.
Man, that's exactly what I was going to say.
You are allowed to say the same thing.
I'm going to say the same thing. Except for I do think this is a Kentucky bourbon. There's no way this is more than 80. Mm-hmm. This is 80 proof. Can't be less. I don't believe it's more. And I would pay 15 for this. I think.
Sorry, I called dibs.
No. Okay, fine. I'll pay 16 for this.
I'll pay 15.01.
And I think it probably retails 13 to 14.
I think this is a bourbon. I think if it's 80 proof, I think it has a lot of flavor for an 80 proof bourbon. I'm going to go 86. Because I feel like it's got a few more proof points. I'd be willing to pay 16 for this. I'm going to guess it costs 15.
Right.
Let's go ahead and reveal the bottle.
I'm still not convinced it's a Kentucky bourbon, though.
What if it is? What if you pull the bottle? Then will you be convinced?
Yeah. I will be convinced by whatever the label says.
Ready?
Okay.
Today we drank Quality House from Heaven Hill.
It is a Kentucky bourbon.
It is a Kentucky bourbon. It is 80 proof. I forgot to put notes in here.
That's on the bottom shelf.
Yeah, this costs like...
I've seen it. I think it's 12.
I want to say 12. I want to say it's $12.
Yeah. That's great.
And it's a liter.
Man, that's great. I'll definitely give that to my guests.
If you listen to the podcast episode of Those Dram Yinzers, where I was recently on for the $10 to $15 range, we did this, Ezra Brooks, Evan Williams, and then Seagram 7. This was chosen by them as their favorite of those 4.
I can understand why.
I would expect this to taste watery compared to based on what we had previously. Check that video up right here.
Can I get this in PA?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I can get it.
Absolutely.
You can get it by the case.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. You don't have to go to a premium store. You can just go to like any Joe Schmo little dinky fine wine good spirits and grab this up.
I almost guarantee you that Rochester does not carry that.
I'll take that bet.
You have more bottles on your shelf than Rochester has on theirs.
I bet they
Unless
have
you're
this.
looking for Mad Dog.
And I don't mean in variety, I mean in total bottles on the shelf.
Well, you go to Rochester and take a look and see if you can find it.
Okay.
Because, I mean, this is like...
I guarantee Rochester does not have that.
Well, now you...
Now, are you going to challenge me to do it right on the website?
I'm doing it right now. I'm finding out right now. No, you're not in Allegheny County.
I'm in Beaver.
You're in Beaver County. Is it actually, this says Rochester?
Yeah.
All right, you're right. Rochester does not have it.
You've been to Rochester once. You saw how dinky it is.
All right, well, Hopewell has it. Ambridge has it. New Brighton has it. Beer Falls has it.
Well, yeah, those all make sense.
Rochester. Oh, wait, no. Ooh, Rochester.
Oh, really?
Right there. Rochester.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Is that your closest your liquor store?
That is literally falling down the hill for me. Like, I could put my car in neutral and get there.
For $12 for a liter, we give this a solid thumbs up, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So down in the comments, let us know what you think of this bottle. And until next time, may the winds of fortune sail you.
May you sail a gentle sea.
May it always be the other guy who says,
This drink's on me.